Hey everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about X-Men Unlimited Infinity, SunFire vs. Otherworld Part 4, 5, and 6, written by Steve Orlando and Steve Fox. But before we get started, I would like to say thank you for being patient with my absence last week. Because I am happy to say, my wife and I were celebrating our 11-year anniversary. So thank you for your continued support, and together let's bring this channel to 1,000 subs. So with that out there, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to the channel if you find anything interesting within the comics covered here, for with your help, this channel can grow and improve. So following the last events of the previous issue, we pick up in the Orchis Blightspoke Outpost with Moira standing before a beaten Shiro surrounded by armed Orchis guards. And at this point in the story, Moira had our hero dead to rights and completely under her control, so with no way to fight back, the guards place an inhibitor collar around his neck, because as you may have guessed, Orchis couldn't risk Shiro torching their fine distillery to the ground, so with Shiro's ability gone, one of the guards proceeded to pull out a syringe filled with Blightswell to prepare an injection, but right before he could do it, to my surprise, Moira stopped him. Now according to her, the reason why she did it was because in her words, mutants still had their uses. Because then she goes on to say, in one of her past lives she watched him burn as fuel for centuries, and if she was a betting woman, she believed they could top that. So with the traitor of Krakoa just inches away from Shiro, Shiro with all his might sent a thunderous headbutt straight into Moira's head because our hero would sooner die than serve Orchis. So with a fight breaking out, the Orchis guard pulled his weapon, but before he could use it, Shiro delivered yet another thunderous elbow to the side of his face, and with great timing, Shiro managed to take said guard's weapons. So with gun in hand, Shiro wasted no time in turning on Moira and yelled out how Orchis would never succeed, not while there even one X-Men breathing. So with the trigger pulled, Moira and all her cybernetic enhancements effortlessly dodged each shot and came face to face with our hero with blinding speed. So with Shiro being outclassed, Moira drops a bombshell on him by saying she could tell he has been trekking across Otherworld for a long time because all the X-Men are dead and gone. So with her robotic strength, Moira crushed the weapon in his hand before lifting him off his feet. And once she had him in the air, Moira continued to tell him how Orchis already had won, while Krakoa had already fallen. So according to Moira, Krakoa as a nation and as a people has already drawn its final breath. So with the news broken to Shiro, he refuses to believe it. But that is when Moira, once again, doubled down by saying she bet he would love to believe that his people had survived because it would at least take the sting out of not being there while his species went extinct. So with that said, Moira took the beaten Shiro and sent him crashing into the floor and into the level below. Now with heavy damage dealt to Shiro, Moira proceeded to give him the quote-unquote VIP tour of the facility by first introducing him to the brewmaster. Now she then goes on to say that his job is to refine the Blightspoke's raw material into a nasty weapon. Now before that was a lot of work to do, but see, that is where Shiro as her prisoner will come in handy, because with him, they can automate the factory a lot easier. Because up to this point, according to Moira, things had been really tight because they had been burning through their batteries like crazy. So with the summoner removed, the worker tossed his body into a pile of remains, because Moira prides herself on being a zero-waste facility. Because Moira has been using the corpses of the dead as a fertilizer. Because this fertilizer was used for none other than Redroot herself. Now, Moira then goes on to say how Redroot is vital to their operation, because she has the ability to grow the ingredients needed to run this whole show. And through a lot of poking and torture, Orchis was able to make Redroot churn the soil with her roots. So with Redroot before Shiro, an uneasy silence overcame him as rage started to build within him. Because Shiro had faced unimaginable dangers to find Redroot. And to his dismay, he found her standing before him, withered but clinging to some spark of life. But if what Moira had said held truth, then Shiro had failed, and as for his quest to recover Redroot for the twin mutant homelands of Krakoa and Arakko, was pointless if the mutants who called those places home no longer existed. So with an ironclad determination, Shiro took the splinter out of his hand and quickly picked the collar around his neck. Because Shiro had known failure many times before, and being brought low had never deterred him from getting back up. So as the guards went to take him in, the collar dropped from his neck, and just like that, Shiro's past words began to reign true, for as long as even one mutant still stood, there would still be an ember of hope for the future. And just like that, the fire deep within Shiro came to life, and even the smallest spark could ignite an inferno. So following part 4 epic conclusion, we pick up with a furious Shiro ready to take out all before him. And just how fate would have it, this issue opens with just that. Because the last words the Orchis soldiers spoke before being turned into ash were, "Long live Orchis," but if Shiro had something to say about it, it wouldn't be too long. So as the fire burned on, Moira stood ready to face the mutant before her, but before the fight could start in earnest, she informed him that she tried to put on her happy face and kill him with kindness. But she sees now that such pleasantries won't deter him. So because of that, she sees no choice but to get rough. And just like that, she revealed her true self and geared up for battle. But see, no matter the danger before him, Shiro was not about to back down, for he came to Otherworld to serve Arakko and Krakoa, and that was what he intended to do, even if Moira claimed mutant kind had fallen in his absence. And despite hearing that his people were slaughtered at the hands of her perverse alliance, Shiro would not go quietly into the night. And with those words, as Shiro's flames warmed Redroot of the Forest, she started to feel something she'd not dared to feel since coming to Otherworld. She started to feel hope. Because Shiro goes on to say that Moira mock and taunt him because she believes that telling him about his people's death would break his will to live, his will to fight. But instead of doing that, it only managed to turn him into an avenger. And just like that, he flew straight into the fight, sending a fire fist straight to her face, and a volcanic-class eruption. So with Moira taking the shot at point-blank range, she was sent flying into a vat of Blightswell. Now, as we all know, Moira is no pushover, so almost instantly she returned to her feet and prepared for round 2, but before she could respond in kind, the Brewmaster started to freak out about the condition of his lab and grabbed a pipe and ran into battle. So with the Brewmaster in full charge, Moira yelled out for him to stop, but her warnings fell on deaf ears. Because as of the last issue, we discovered that the Brewmaster is the only person who could create the Blightswell, which makes him a very important asset for Orchis to have. And luckily for the VIP tour, Shiro knows it too, so with no time to waste, our hero sends another fire fist into the head of the Brewmaster, killing him dead on the spot. So as the body burned, Shiro reminds them that this is war, and while in war there is little art in a quick death, but a quick death can provide mercy. Now with the Brewmaster down for the count, Shiro dropped to one knee, for that attack took a lot out of him. So with that stuff put to an end, Moira goes on to say they have plenty of Blightswell already refined, in fact, more than enough for the pittance of mutants left on Earth. So with things heating up, Moira calls out for the technician in the corner to clear out everything he could, including the withering old twig in the corner, referring to Redroot. So with a slight twitch from Shiro, Moira immediately knew that Redroot was his goal, so with that information in hand, she dashed towards the helpless mutant, and with no hesitation, she proceeded to cut her down with her blade. So with Redroot badly hurt, Moira reached down and picked her up, and asked why was Redroot so important to him. But blinded by his end goal, Shiro mustered up all his strength and ran head first to save the weakened mutant, and in a turn of events, Moira jabbed Redroot into his chest like a blade into the heart. So with blood raining out, our hero stood shocked by the turn of events. So following part 4 we transition over to part 5, with Shiro spitting out blood with Redroot embedded into his body. So with that said, Moira also goes on to tell him that Arakko is most likely leveled due to Genesis's war, so even if he did get Redroot out of there, where would they even go? Now this was not how Shiro envisioned rescuing the wayward mutant known as Redroot. But he will not give up his quest, because he knows deep down, he couldn't even if he wanted to, because if even one ember of hope remained, he had a job to complete. So with yet another display of his resilient nature, Shiro lifted his head and said that he once heard whispers that she was once the secret heart beating in the center of Krakoa. But unfortunately, as a heart, she grew tumorous and cancerous and started to spread like rot. But see, at the end of the day, Shiro does not know what has transpired on Earth since he came to Otherworld, but he does know his heart holds no such corruption. Because he came for Redroot, and no one, even Moira, will stand in his way. So with Shiro returning to his feet, Moira looks at him in disdain as she tells him that he is no threat to her because he could barely stand as it is. But see, that never stopped Shiro before, because with a smile on his face, he ignited his fire one more time and took off into the air with Redroot in his chest. So with Shiro crashing through the roof, Moira tells him to run all he wants, but only a cold death awaits him in the shadows. So with our hero gone, Moira yells for her subordinates to get Devo on the line if they want to live, because with the most recent turn of events, even Moira realizes that they will need a new source of Blightswell. So with the battle over for now, a badly beaten Shiro exited the facility and flew as far as his body would take him, because Moira's threats were not idle. Because Shiro's final exertion took its toll on his body. And if not for Blightspoke's strange gravity, Shiro would have plummeted to his death and taken Redroot with him, but instead, they drifted and Shiro slipped in and out of consciousness as Otherworld's peculiar rhythms continued unabated. Now, for those who live their lives within the realm, often find that its dangers only serve to highlight its joys, but as for the interlopers, they are reminded that nothing comes easily inside the Otherworld's borders, because underestimating Shiro has set Orchis back tremendously. So with all that done, for those few who've managed to seize power, those people never miss an opportunity to tighten their grip on it. And one such person was Jim Jasper, because on the next page, we see him walking out of a portal ready to reclaim a gift that he gave, the splinter from Shiro's hand. So with that done, our hero Shiro awoke to find himself in a cold, dark corner of the realm. Now he wandered through the void for what felt like an eternity as his flames dimmed with every step. It was so bad that he considered briefly that he was in hell, but see, Shiro had been through hell numerous times. Hell of manipulation, of disappointment, of loss of control, hell of self-inflicted torments and of pains forced upon him by others. But see, since Shiro joined the X-Men of Krakoa, since he became an adopted son of Arakko, something deep down had changed. Shiro's heart no longer beats for him alone, but instead for everyone around him. So with the creature slain, Shiro thinks back on a conversation he had with Storm, because he once told the Regent that he wanted to see how far he could go, and because of his determination, he still hasn't reached that limit, because deep down he knows he still have farther yet to travel. So as the snow swirled around them, Shiro apologized to Redroot and told her one day his flame would burn out forever, but he promised, better yet he vowed, he would hold back the dark for as long as he could. And with that said, Shiro and Redroot continued their journey as their time in X-Men Unlimited Infinity Comics comes to an end, and as for the conclusion of the Otherworld arc, that will pick up in X-Men issue number 28. So down in the comment section below let me know your thoughts about this issue and what predictions you could have moving forward. So with that established, I hope you enjoyed this video, and please don't forget to leave a like and a comment if you want to see more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.